everyone, Rachel back here once again with another review. We are taking a look this time at Zombie Horde, one of the 12 new fragrances. This is the 11th out of the 12 fragrances that I've reviewed so far. So we are almost to the end. The end is near. I can feel it. We are almost to the launch date as well, which is August 1st, 12:01 a.m. So overnight, midnight, Thursday into Friday. I will have all the information on the launch in the description of this video for you to find. And thank you to Kringle for sending these ahead of the launch so that I can get these reviews out there for you guys and help you figure out which ones most interest you. So thank you to them, and thank you to you guys for tuning in once again. I know this feels like a long process. I feel like I've said these same things over and over so many times. So if I missed something, I'm sorry. But again, it will all be in the description for you. If you are shopping, you are welcome to use my code SimplyScented to get 15% off. There's no pressure there, but I do thank you if you choose to use it. And it is a commission code, so just know that if you use it, I do get commissions based on those sales. But yeah, I think that's about the gist of it here. And we will get into this review. I will tell you guys, this is based on about 28 hours of burn time here with this one. I really would have liked to give it a little bit more burn time, and I will tell you why very soon. I mean, here we are down to the wire for this launch, so I really felt like it was better to just get this out there, and I will just kind of let you guys know where I'm at with this one. But first I will give you guys the notes, and then we'll get into my interpretation and what's going on with Zombie Horde. Kringle gives us top notes of ripe apple, burnt smoke, and olibanum resin. We have mid notes of golden amber and sandalwood, and we have base notes of leather, incense, and musk. So I'm going to be honest, guys, I had really high hopes for this one on Cold Sniff. It was very creepy. I would say probably one of the more creepy ones in the launch here, just in terms of cold sniff and the concept. It was a very sort of creepy scent. Right off the bat, I was hit with a lot of that burnt smoke, and it was almost off-puttingly so at first. And then as I kind of aired it out and let it dissipate a little bit, it really started to grow on me. And I said, okay, it's creepy, but I kind of like it. And I don't really know why, but I was like looking forward to burning it. And the first burn, and I talked about this in my first impressions, it was really light. And so I got a little bit nervous, and I said, you know what? I kind of put this to the back of the line because I wanted to just let it sit for a little bit. When these came, it was like really hot weather, and I let them sit inside for a little bit before I did that first burn. But I said, let me just kind of give it another week. I'll work on some of the other ones, and I'll come back to this one later. And I was really hoping that might help in terms of the performance, but it's still kind of lackluster in that sense. So if that's kind of the most important thing to you here is good, strong performance, I'm just going to kind of put that out there right up front. We'll talk a little bit more about this towards the end of the review, but this is not a powerhouse, guys. A good complex scent, very creepy, but not a powerhouse. So kind of take that going in and choose if you want to kind of continue on this review or not. But just kind of throwing that little disclaimer out there right off the bat. Getting into the notes here, I talked about that burnt smoke being pretty prominent on cold, and I do feel like that's sort of carried over into the burn. I do still get a good amount of that sort of burnt smoke, and honestly, the closest thing I can kind of compare this to, or a picture I can paint for you guys, if you think about wood in a fire pit or fireplace, where the end of the wood is kind of right in the mix of that fire, and if you were to pull it out, that end is sort of red hot and smoldering and has that smoke coming off of it. That's kind of like the smoky note that I'm getting here. At least that's what kind of makes sense to me. But it definitely has a distinctly burnt tone to it, which sounds strange because you figure if there's smoke, there's something burning somewhere. It kind of just it is one and the same, but really this does have a distinctly sort of burnt quality to the smokiness that is it's not there in the other smoky candles here in this collection here. This is like definitely a more distinctly burnt quality. And another thing that I'm getting a lot of is this sort of apple note here, which they say ripe apple, which pretty much fits here. I would say it's a ripe, fresh apple. But if you think about kind of the apples on the ground, when you're going apple picking, a lot of people will take a bite and then they throw the apple on the ground. One of those apples that's kind of been sitting on the ground with a bite taken out of it, and that one spot starts to get a little bit brown and almost slightly a little bit fermented, a little bit sweet in that sun. And that's kind of what I'm getting a little bit of from here. It's not overtaking the whole apple note. So that's why I say just like a small little bite taken out of it, but just a little bit of that tone to it, kind of, you know, playing into the whole creepy feel we have going on with this fragrance. And kind of, I guess, kind of blending a little bit to that apple and then a little bit with the woodsy tones underneath here is that olibanum resin, which that is another word for frankincense. But the key word here is that resin. It's just like a sort of sweetness. It's a woodsy, earthy sweetness that I'm getting, and it could be playing a little bit into that tone that I'm getting with the apple, but also plays in a little bit with our mid notes here with the amber and sandalwood, probably more specifically to the sandalwood because it is kind of a woodsy sort of resinous quality. And I mean, the amber itself, it's not really giving me strong amber vibes. There is a little bit of warmth. This middle here is almost like the calm in the storm. Like you have some creepy notes on the top and then the bottom, and in the middle it's just a little bit more subdued in the middle. But other than that, I mean, it's not a heavy sort of amber note. I do get that sandalwood a little bit, but I would feel like that smokiness and the apple, and then the undertone here of leather, those elements kind of stick out more to me than those mid notes. Now for that leather note, that's ultimately where the most creepiness comes from in this candle, because the leather, like, it ties into the zombie, that skin sort of feeling. It sounds really gross even just saying it, but if you like leather fragrances, I do get a good amount of leather here. And honestly, guys, I've never enjoyed that as a fragrance note. Even like some people really like the smell of fresh leather. I've never had any sort of gravitational pull to that as a scent note. So I'm not knocking you if you do, believe me. I'm actually kind of enjoying it in this candle, but yeah, it's different, and it definitely makes me think zombies. So really kind of working with this concept here, really sort of fits this, you know, profile. And then incense and musk, I mean, there is an earthiness to it, I would say. Not a strong incense presence, but there is an earthy sort of incense, kind of in that smoky note as well, and in that woods. It all just kind of layers itself in. This is not like a heavy sort of witchy incense note that I'm getting at all. And just a slight musky quality to it, just kind of rounding out the fragrance. And, you know, not a heavy musk. It's not leaning cologne or anything like that to me, or perfumey with the amber. This is just really sort of an outdoors kind of creepy scent. And that kind of leads me to where I'm at now, where the scent itself, once again, surprisingly enjoyable for something that's not really my normal thing. I really like the fact that it does have that sort of zombie feel to it. The only problem here is the performance. And you know what? I've been saying a lot through these reviews, like, oh, the burns have been great. I've had no issues at all. And then here comes Zombie Horde making me look like a liar. Of course, it waited till the last one that I started burning, but I had a little bit of trouble with this one with the burn. Not terrible, not a total dud. It's not dudding out or anything like that. But this one did struggle just a little bit. The first couple burns started out okay. I wasn't having any issues off the bat, but I feel like the third and fourth, things just got a little bit less hot than I typically get with Kringle in general, and with what I've been typically getting with the other candles in this collection that I've been burning. The flames, I mean, it was pulling. It wasn't like they were puny wicks or anything like that. It was just burning a little less hot. One wick in particular seemed to be struggling for a little while, and it has now seemed to self-correct. I will turn this for you guys to see. Like this is without a hurricane that I've been burning this, and you can see, I mean, I have a decent pool. I did trim these wicks before filming because I had it going for a little while. Because I'm doing 3 reviews here tonight, I've kind of had them all going and making sure they're not going too hot while I work on the other one. But I did trim the wicks, but even now you can kind of see the flames are there, they're fine, but they're like a little bit more tame than some of the other ones have been at this point. And I think that could possibly be contributing to the fact that this is on the lighter end of the spectrum in terms of the strength. Sometimes if you're just not getting like great heat and it's just not distributing those oils out the way you need to really to get a great scent from it, that could be what's happening here, because the notes and the scent itself feel like this should be pretty strong. I mean, they're not like, they aren't shy notes here. So it feels like it should be strong, but I'm just not getting that. I did try it in a hurricane and that did help a little bit. So I would recommend, if you buy this one, if you want to take a chance on it, what I would do is, one, I would let it sit for a while. We're just kind of cracking the door here on August, so we've got a little time before you get into that sort of prime Halloween burning season. Personally, I would let this one sit, and maybe a little time will help this one. I also would recommend, if you don't have a hurricane, I would recommend getting one. It's a really great tool to have, guys, even if you don't typically use them. It's just nice to have for instances like this where maybe you want a little bit more of a boost. But I would recommend using a hurricane, especially for this one, if it's not giving you what you would like. Maybe with a little time it will pick up, and maybe you will have a different experience. I never know. Like sometimes I'll say, oh, this was really light for me, and then you guys will come back and say you had no problem, it was strong. And then other times I'll say something was strong and you guys are, it's so light. So I never really know. I will point out one other thing that I noticed is that the wicks on this one are a little bit thinner than some of the others. And that doesn't always mean the burn is going to struggle or that there's going to be any issues. For example, Conjuring, I think also had slightly thinner wicks than some of the other ones. And that one I had said burned a little bit on the hotter side and was throwing great. So you just kind of never know. Sometimes it's the oils. It is what it is here, guys. I'm just kind of giving you my experience and then hoping that can maybe help guide your experience if you do decide to pick this one up. And if you're looking for like a number here with that strength, I would say this is kind of like the 4 or 5 ballpark, really, which, I mean, a 5 isn't terrible, especially I could get the 5 in a hurricane, maybe a 4 without. But if you have a smaller space, it might work a little bit better for you. I just don't have that luxury really to even test it out in a smaller space. That would have to be like my bedroom, and I don't feel comfortable. I don't spend enough time. We have a 2-story home, so really there's nobody there during the day, and I can't just leave a candle going in that room. So for me, that isn't really something I can test for you guys, but I mean, if you do have a smaller room, that might work better, but definitely try a hurricane. And in terms of the actual throw, I mean, because it's not having a strong presence, I would say it's really not traveling much farther beyond that general location that it's in. So yeah, I mean, that's about all I can say. I've really had high hopes. It's leaving me feeling a little bit disappointed. Not totally disappointed, but just a little bit. And I think what I'm going to do at this point is just save the rest of this for October. See if that helps. I'll give it another burn come October. And if not, I will probably just put it away until next year and then revisit it again. I know that seems like a really long time to wait, but sometimes it really does do the trick. Not always, but sometimes. And when you have as many candles as somebody like me, and I'm sure a lot of you, is it really a big deal, I guess, to put it away? Probably not. So I've got plenty to keep me busy in the meantime. So that's my take on Zombie Horde. From some of the comments I've seen just in the Facebook groups and everything, I don't think I'm the only one saying that this has been a little bit lighter for them. So I am going to go back and check out some other reviews. I am so behind on catching up on everybody else's reviews because I've just been spending so much time doing my own, but I'm looking forward to kind of going back and seeing what others are saying about some of these. So let me know, are you kind of hearing the same thing? I feel like that's kind of the case with this one, but I mean, I'm still kind of holding out a little hope that this one will eventually come around, which is why I kind of said I wish I had a little bit more time, because now that the wicks seem to be doing a little bit better, I'm hoping that maybe it will kind of like find its groove. But I mean, again, no guarantees. So I guess that's where we're at with Zombie Horde. Did that help you make a decision? Let me know. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. And if you did enjoy it, give it a thumbs up and make sure you're subscribed. I've got one more review to go, and I think that's going to do it. I think we'll end on a high note. We'll put it that way. All right, you guys, thanks for joining me. I hope you have a great rest of your day.